Hi, it's Kathy with City Farmhouse Studio. I want to talk to you today about the Chere skirt that is crocheted. It uses Cotton Fair yarn by Premier. The two that the pattern is done in had different labels. I used Succulent for one color, and then the gray I used Silver. So I believe this is the new and current label, but I did see it in this one. I ran out of the Succulent, so I am using a substitute color to do this little demonstration for you. So it is 317 yards for 3.5 ounce. It is a 52% cotton, 48% acrylic, and a 2 fine category. I did use this yarn for the Summer Breeze pattern that is a knit pattern, and I really enjoyed how it washed up. Hasn't pilled, very comfortable to wear, perfect for summer wear, but warm enough also you could wear it into transitional seasons as well. So for the skirt, you need 2 different colorways. You could do it one, but then you won't get the contrasting of the stripes in the posts. And then an H hook. So to begin your band, you will begin with your one colorway. This is the main color. I started in the gray just to give it more of a neutral colorway. And you start with a slip knot on your hook with a loop. Now you could do a foundation chain, but then you got to work to make sure it's not twisted and kinked. And also this is what goes around your waist, so you really want it to have as much stretch as possible. So what I did was begin with the foundation single crochet. If you do not get this, there is by no means wrong for doing a foundation chain and then single crocheting in that as well. But I like the look of a foundation single crochet, so that's what I'm going to show you. So to do that, again, slip knot on your hook and you chain 2. And this is how you start. And instead of working away from your slip knot, you're kind of going to have to think reverse. So if this is your first chain of your pattern, you now want to make a single crochet. So that's your first single crochet of the pattern. Now you want to go back into that first chain that you had previously done, what you made that single crochet out of, and pull out another loop. This is the next chain that you would have done for your foundation if you did normal. So that's your chain. Now you want to make a single crochet, and that's 2. And then you go back into that chain, make 1 chain, so this is the beginning of your next stitch, and make a single crochet. And I like to hold with my finger and thumb that chain so that I can keep track of which loop I need to work in. So that's my chain, make a single crochet. So as long as you keep track of, you make a chain, you make your single crochet, make a chain, make a single crochet. And now you can count back the 2, 4, 6, 7 stitches that I've already made. And you want to do this till you have your recommended stitches for your foundation. So there's my foundation single crochet. And you can see it's quite stretchy. And it really has a nice give to it. If you've done just a chain to begin the foundation of a garment, you know that sometimes it gets that harsh, tight edge. And this has a nice soft, almost elastic feel, which whenever you're doing a skirt where it would go around your waist, it's very comfortable to wear. All right, so now once you get your numbers, you want to make sure it's straight. You don't want to know how many times, even with this thickness, I had it twisted. You want to make sure it's straight, and you go end to end so that it would lay flat like a garment. And then into that first single crochet that you made, you want to make a slip stitch. So you pull a loop through and you pull a loop on to your hook. You want to make that tight. And that is your beginning row. Okay, so now for round 2, you're going to chain 1 and turn. And you want to single crochet in the back loop around. And it's just like a normal single crochet, except instead of going through both of the loops, you just want to go into the one furthest away from you, that back top loop. You pull up a loop, complete your single crochet. Moving on to the next one, again, just not the 2 as a normal single crochet, but just that top one furthest away. And you continue all the way around. So one of the hardest things to tell is the beginning and end of the rounds for this pattern. So this is the last stitch. You could tell I have that pull through going into it. So I want to make my last single crochet in the back loop. And now that's my chain to turn where it gets all twisty. And this is my first stitch of the round. So I want to, just like before, go through both of those loops and pull a slip knot, or pull a slip stitch through to tighten and connect those two. And then for round 3, just the same, chain 1 and turn. But this time, instead of going through the back loop, I want to go through the front loop. So it's just that loop that's closest to you. You make a single crochet. And you do that around. And what this is doing on the right side of the fabric, it's giving you those little loop details. The stitches that are unworked create those bandings. That creates a really nice detail all throughout this skirt. My last stitch, go through both loops on that first single crochet and pull a slip knot to pull through that together, and then chain 1, turn and begin round 4. You're again going to repeat the back loop. So this was the front, the back is the one furthest away. So there you can see more of those banding details starting to form. So there I just finished the slip stitch in the beginning single crochet for round 4. For round 5, chain 1, turn, and you single crochet in each stitch around. So at the end of round 5, you still want to slip stitch in that first single crochet to complete and tie that round together. But for the next row, I want to switch colors. So I'm going to take my new color and even without a slip knot, just going to hold it. And I'm going to pull that yarn through to make my slip knot. And I want to go ahead and tighten my gray yarn. And this will give a nice clean start to the row. And once you weave in that end, you won't tell that there's another yarn start, and it'll be secure. So now I want to begin the pattern section after the waistband. So to do that, I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now with this, I am facing the right side of my fabric where those bands are. So I want to make sure this gray yarn is tucked inside to the middle of the waistband, because I'm going to just carry that up the side and not have to cut and weave in all these different colored ends whenever I'm done. So I'm going to hold that to the inside so it will run up the inside of the fabric, not the outside. And I want to make 1 single crochet in the first stitch. And then the next stitch, you're going to front post double crochet. So here is the stitch that I would normally work into, but I want to go down 1 more row, and they kind of work at an angle to the left. So that would be my first single crochet of the row. Here's my second. So I want to wrap my yarn around, and for a front post double crochet, you just insert it around the post, kind of that vertical bar of the stitch, and then you make a double crochet as normal. Now if you look behind, there's the stitch from the row that you normally would work. You want to skip that because that's coordinated with your front post double crochet, and you want to work a single crochet in your next stitch. And then the next one, you're going to skip a post, wrap your yarn, make a front post double crochet, there's the stitch for the double crochet, and then single crochet in the next. And then you're going to repeat this all the way around. Now, as you've noticed, the waistband is closed. There's no zipper, there's no snaps, there's no opening. So with crochet, there is enough stretch. You can kind of wiggle it on. If you need to adjust the waistband, if you need to adjust the waistband even more, you have a couple options. One of the easiest, and one that I actually did on mine, is I wove in just alternating stitches in and out, and leftover thread, leftover yarn from the pattern, and just use that as a tie on the inside, just to give it a little bit of a cinch around the waist as I needed it. Another option would be to sew in an elastic band, and that will give you even more stretch to pull in and give you a tighter waistband. As you can see, everything is making the waistband tighter, not looser. So you need to make sure the size that you choose to make will fit over your hips, and then you can adjust the waistband to come in. I have not needed to wear a lining. As you can see, it's fairly open as you make it. When you block it, you will see that there is some shrinkage, or at least my block did. So the final stitch isn't quite as open as this one once everything is blocked. But you can wear a slip under it or sew in a lining if you have that capability. But like I said, I haven't needed to. I've just worn flesh colored unders and haven't had any issues. My husband hasn't commented, and if he could see through, he would comment. Now I've come to the end of the first round with the pink, and I've made the last single crochet, and as you know, the pattern ends with a front post double crochet. So I'm just going to go down, and you get this kind of large chunk, and what that is your last stitch and your turning chain. And I'm just going to go ahead and all around it make one front post double crochet, and then go into the beginning single crochet and make that slip knot to close the round. Now for the round 2, you chain 1 and turn, and you just single crochet in each of those stitches all the way around. So again, last stitch of the round, made my single crochet. Now I'm to where I need to slip stitch to close the round, but I need to switch back to my original color. So I'm going to pull the pink into the inside of the skirt and pull the gray out. Now I can go in make the slip stitch, and now I'm ready to begin round 3. So I chain 1 and turn, and again this is very similar to round 1 with the front post double crochets, but instead how the first round began with the single crochet and ended with the front post double crochet, we're going to start with that front post double crochet 2 rows down. That's my first single crochet, so that goes with the front post double crochet. Go into the next stitch and make my single crochet. This round is a lot easier to see where your stitches should go because you have the front post double crochets before. It's kind of a guide. You go in between them and not around them. So at the end of round 3, we'll end with a single crochet and then slip knot in your first front post double crochet. And then for round 4, it's just like round 2 where you chain 1 and turn and single crochet around. Now at the end of round 4, you will need to switch back to the pink yarn or your second color. And you're going to repeat these 4 rows, the 2 front post double crochets and the 2 single crochet rows again to build up your width. For sizes 3x, 4x, and 5x, you're going to repeat it 2 more times. So you'll have a total of 1, 2, 3 pinks and 3 gray rounds of front post double crochets. So let me get that going and I'll catch you there. So there I've completed another set. So I have 2 pattern repeats of round 1 through 4. For the larger sizes, 3x through 5x, you will need to make a whole nother set, so another pink and another gray, before moving on to this little section of the pattern where it says to just work round 1 through 3 once more. And what that is to do is so that you can end right after the gray front post double crochet, because that will move into your next band. So I have slipped another pink and chain 1, and I will work around on this. So there I've went ahead and completed those 3 rows again, ending with the gray. I've gone ahead and done my slip. And now I'm ready to do the increase band number 1. And this is that first section. You had your waistband. This is that next gray section between the patterns. And again with the gray, you're going to chain 1 and turn. And it says make 2 single crochets in the front loop of the first stitch. So just as before where we were doing the front loop single crochets, I want to make 1 more in that same loop. And that is 1 stitch increase. And now I will say to go ahead and single crochet in the next so many stitches. And that is the end of the repeat from the star to star. Now I'll tell you to go ahead and repeat that star to star for so many times to get an increased stitch number. So you just begin with that 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then the single crochets in the front loop of so many for X number of times. And then once you get all of them completed of the repeats, the pattern tells you to single crochet in the front loop of the next so many stitches. The size large, actually ends straight at the end, so you don't have any extra stitches to make to get back to where you would make your slip knot. So I have done, for my little sample, my 2 stitches in the front loop to make an increased single crocheted around of the set number of stitches, my other increase, single crochet around, and then finished the set number to finish out. Make sure. And now for round 2, chain 1 and turn, and you go in the back loop and make single crochets all the way around. So this should start being very familiar to that waistband section, and it should be. The only thing different is adding in, instead of a foundation single crochet to begin, we have this increased front loop section. So once you finish that round, chain 1 and turn. And then this one is the single crochet again in the front loop. So for round 4, you go in the back loop again. And then round 5 is just a single crochet evenly around. You will want to switch to your second color as you go. So once you've completed all the single crochets of the round 5, you will want to go ahead and switch back to your pink yarn or your alternate yarn color. Not everyone's doing pink. Switch the gray to the inside working side of the fabric, and then make my slip knot. Sorry, slip stitch. And there you can start seeing how the threads just run up the inside of the skirt, preventing you from having to weave in all of those ends. And then you are back to a pattern section, and this is saying after band 1. This is exactly the same section repeat as what's after the what's after the waistband. Just the total row count numbers are different. So you want to single chain 1 and turn, make your first single crochet, and then start with your front post double crochet pattern, 2 rows down. So that goes just like before, working down into your increase band. So nothing new there. You continue repeating the section just as you had here to another increased band. Now I've given you two options for lengths. One has 5 sections of bands and one has 6 sections of bands. You are more than able to adjust how many of these pattern repeats you are, make them thicker, make them thinner, adjust the increases to modify the shape. The pattern is a blueprint. It is your garment. You get to adjust it however you were like to. That is one of the liberties of being a maker and a creator. You have that creative freedom. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I hope you really enjoy this Chere skirt as much as I have. Please be sure to like and subscribe this video so that you never miss out on any upcoming patterns from City Farmhouse Studio. Thanks again. Bye.